Hello, hi, how are you? Today I wanted to talk about picking a name. Generally, in many people's social transitions, they will change their name, and it's a really cool thing that not a lot of people get to do because you're getting to pick your name. So let's talk about that today. And I totally get how when you're going through the process, it can be a mind-boggling process because, you're picking your name. Many of us grow up in sort of that impression where here is a name or a list of names if we have middle names or nicknames that we can choose to go by, and we're brought up like this is what you get. You don't really, no one's gonna call you a different name if you want to be called something else. This is what you got. And as a trans person, that rule kind of goes out of the roof since many names are strictly associated with a gender, and as a trans person, that's the definition of being trans, we don't identify as the gender we've been assigned at birth. So when picking a name, I'm not sure how it works for other people. I'm just going off of my own experience, but from what I experienced, picking the right name or the name for yourself, it's gonna click the same way that learning what transgender meant clicked. And what I mean by that is you're gonna hear it, or you're gonna think of it, or you're gonna test it out for a while, and it's gonna make sense. And it's gonna feel like the right move. But that doesn't mean it's gonna be easy to find. You may have to go through several names to try and find the right one. I didn't have that problem. My legal name is different than the name that I go by and all of you all know me as. It's been put out into the world, so there's always that kind of question like which name do you go by, and it's a situation where that makes me think like, all right, you have a legal name and then you go by a different name. Wasn't changing your name supposed to eliminate that? But it doesn't really matter. When it came to picking my legal name, I don't remember how it came to me, but it was one of those situations where I either dreamt of it or I heard it somewhere, and I was like, yes, that's it. That's the name. And the name is Caden. It was sort of like, it wasn't Caden with the C or with a Y in it, it was just Caden with a K. Which can confuse a lot of people because Cat is with a C, but Caden's with a K, and it's like, nah, but it was with a K. It wasn't with anything else. And the thing that I actually kind of tripped up on was picking a middle name. For my middle name, I went with the first name that I came up with, and that's Quinn, because it sounds good. Since Caden is 2 syllables and my last name is 2 syllables, I wanted a single syllable name for a middle name, because I was changing my middle name. I wasn't going to keep it. For one, I wanted something that sounded cool, okay? But I couldn't decide between 2 middle names. I couldn't decide between Quinn, and I couldn't decide between Trace. So, because I liked the way both of them sound. Not necessarily individual, but together with my first name. So Caden Quinn or Caden Trace. They both sound pretty cool. You just test it out and figure out the way you like it, and then ask people that you trust for their opinion on it. In this situation, I was playing a lot of Minecraft at the time, or sort of was, not really, I wasn't really playing a lot. Anyway, there was a server, that was a roleplay server, and you got to pick a name, so I was like, alright, time to test out the name Caden Trace, and see if I like it. Turns out, I liked Caden Quinn more, so that's what I went with, but when picking your name, it's gonna make sense to you. Try a bunch of different names if you don't know, but when you settle on that one name, or when you hear it, it's gonna feel at home, and it's gonna feel right. And then if you have supportive parents within your atmosphere, get them on it, get their opinions. They may, if they're sort of hesitant about your transition, they may feel more comfortable or like it more if you include them in your name process. That's not saying you have to pick a name that they want, or that what they were going to call you if you were born as the gender that you are now identifying as, but it can mean a lot to them if you include them in these steps. Yeah, so that's another little way that you can maybe find support. Uh,